When I put conspiracy theories on a spectrum from likely to unlikely or possible to impossible, the most frequent question I get from students is, are there any easy indicators of where conspiracy falls on that spectrum? The answers are yes, and sometimes. As we'll see in later chapters, many conspiracies will start with a rational base, and then be very subtle in sneaking irrational or impossible support into the argument. Part of what fuels this is the same cognition that allows us to use the suspension of disbelief to enjoy movies and books that sometimes violate the real world. On a rational level, we know the hero can't fall 10 floors from a building and simply roll around in pain for a moment, and then 5 minutes later, they're unhurt and active. But we set this aside so we can continue to enjoy the movie. The effect of movies and TV and their use of suspension of disbelief will play a large role when we talk about the 9/11 conspiracies, which rely heavily on our belief in fictionalized disasters, such as building collapses we see in movies. Other conspiracies will start with a claim that's false and use it as the foundation for the rest of the conspiracy. This is a logical fallacy known as the false premise fallacy. It's unfortunately very common and very effective. For example, we could claim it's impossible for humans to travel to the moon because radiation would kill them. Therefore, the moon landing had to be fake. The premise that radiation would kill travelers to the moon is false, and thus can't invalidate the moon landing. Frequently, a student will come up to me after class or come by my office and want to talk about a specific conspiracy we talked about in class they felt I didn't fully understand or grasp. One of these categories of conspiracy theories that will always cause an internal eye roll the moment I hear it, anything involving crisis actors. Rule of thumb, if a conspiracy involves crisis actors, it's most likely on the impossible side of the spectrum. Why? Think about what it would involve. The Sandy Hook shooting is frequently seen by conspiracy theorists as an example of crisis actors being used to portray victims, survivors, or the family and friends of the victims. That event was in 2012, and the victims' families are still being accused of being crisis actors. The entire premise of someone agreeing to be a crisis actor requires they'll play this part for the rest of their lives, and the architects of the plan are confident not a single one of them will ever come clean and expose the truth. That violates several of the key criteria we're going to set for an effective conspiracy. Maximize the chances of keeping it secret by involving as few people as possible. The project management approach. When thinking about the validity of a conspiracy, think of yourself as a member of a secret group that wants to carry out a secret plan without the public discovering it and with the greatest chance of success. This is what I mean when I say we take a project management approach to conspiracy theories. What would you have to do, step by step, to carry it out? Here are some questions to think about when addressing a conspiracy. What's the motive for the conspiracy? What's the goal of the conspiracy? What's the easiest way to achieve the goal without being discovered? How many people would it take to carry it out, while maximizing the chances of avoiding leaks? What materials would it take? How long would it take to put it together? Would public records need to be altered or created to back it up? And ultimately, with whatever conspiracy you consider before carrying it out, would the conspiracy look like it had a high likelihood of success? Would there be an easier way to do it that would achieve the same goal with less effort and a better chance of success? On the surface, it seems this kind of approach should make it difficult for anyone to believe in any of the more complex conspiracy theories, like secretly planting explosives throughout 2 skyscrapers to carry out a controlled demolition, or staging a mass shooting with crisis actors. But this is where suspension of disbelief comes into play. 2 of the most common ways people will ignore the problem of the details is to completely dismiss them with statements like, "They have ways," "You don't know what they're capable of doing," or "That's what they want you to think." What's the key similarity in all these? The omnipotent they, who are conveniently capable of anything and possess technology that's being hidden from the general public.